Welcome to week 9. Wow, we are over halfway through the season
What are we
already.
not doing the season's over?
We're just going to create random videos about
Fantasy basketball?
I actually was going with fantasy curling myself. I was really hoping you guys were going to get involved in that.
Is people in Canada allowed to watch YouTube videos in America? I thought there was some kind of like...
Is there? Well, we can travel to Canada
YouTube?
each week.
Can you answer that?
We'll travel to Canada each week.
Hey, Siri.
just to film it.
Are there any Canadian fans watching this terrible video?
Are there any fans watching this video? Well, anyway, we're going to continue our randomly weird stuff. We're not doing our normal stuff anymore because we're not getting watched anyway. So we're just throwing Hail Marys. I like that.
I mean, soon we're probably not even going to talk fantasy football. See how many we'll say we're doing fantasy football, see how many people catch it and realize we're not.
We're actually going to start talking about Monopoly.
You screwed me over many years ago in Monopoly. I will never forget
I still
it.
don't understand luxury tax.
Alright, back to fantasy
So
football.
anyway, so this week we're going to go a little bit differently again. We're going to go with second half predictions. We're halfway through the season. Some teams are already at the halfway point. Other teams will hit it this week. But for the most part, we're at the halfway point. So what we're going to do for you in part of this is come up with predictions for the second half of maybe players you should sign, maybe players that you should trade for, maybe players that you should start every single week from here on out. Who knows what your predictions will be. Then we'll get should you cut or trade the players, and then our bold prediction. But I will start us off with the second half prediction. My first one is going to go to Elijah McGuire, the biggest running back free agent that you can probably sign right now in your league. All things considered, I mean, there's a couple. Was there any big injuries this week to running backs? I don't think there was. I don't think there was. So you can make a couple other people out there. Donta Foreman, you can make a small argument about, I guess, at this point, although Lamar Miller's exploded. But Elijah McGuire is eligible to come back this week, week 9. Will he play right away? Who knows? But he will be taking the Bilal Powell spot with him being out on IR at this point. He had a neck injury. Elijah McGuire, once again, is available. Running backs are struggled to come by this year, and he could be a breakout candidate for the second half of the year. I think he's a must-add for your team if you're struggling at running back this year. I think you go out there, get him. Hopefully, if you have an IR spot, you might even be able to hold him if he doesn't come back right away. But honestly, I think out of all the running backs that you could sign on free agency this week, I think Elijah McGuire is going to be the one that's going to help you most of the way and help you get a chance at your Super Bowl of your fantasy league. So my second half prediction is Elijah McGuire will be among the top 15 running backs in the second half of the season. So I think you need to go out and get him.
Are we going bold predictions?
Whoa, no, but he's going to be a receiving back. He's going to take the Bilal Powell spot.
But
Isaiah
Bilal
Crowell
Powell wasn't tearing down the world. Like, it's not
Yeah,
like...
it's still the Jets.
Yeah, but Elijah McGuire I think is better than Bilal Powell.
Well, yeah, it
so,
might be, but that doesn't mean that it's still
yeah,
the
but
Jets.
if he's taking that spot and he's getting all the passes in his direction, he's catching them and he's making he's faster, he's shiftier than Bilal Powell. I think Elijah McGuire.
I mean, to be fair, something that I'm coming up to say, and I can make a bold prediction out of that too.
So now, if you're going to say that, name 15 running backs in the second half that you think are going to be better than him.
Name 15. You wrote one name right now. All right, I can do it.
He's actually going to do it.
gonna do it.
No writing down.
No, I'm gonna write down so that way I know I have 15, so I don't repeat. All right. Sorry for the delay, people, but I need to.
Sean, you want to go ahead with yours as he's coming up with
Well, while he comes up with his list, I will go ahead with my second half fantasy prediction. Kiki Kute, however you pronounce his name, please don't stop watching our videos because I can't pronounce
This is the
it.
second time we pronounced
Second time.
videos.
In my opinion, will be a second half darling for fantasy owners because Will Fuller is now out. Everyone pays attention to DeAndre Hopkins, which will leave Kiki Kute pretty much in the slot on one-on-one coverage. And let's be honest, with Will Fuller out and Kiki Kute playing in previous games, he's actually put up some really solid numbers. So in my opinion, moving forward, Kiki Kute for the second half of this fantasy season will be a top 15 wide receiver moving forward.
Once again, you saying for my top 15, I don't know about top 15, just because
Right, who
injuries.
you think 15 better?
Yeah, 15 better.
let's just say that he needs to get healthy and he needs to actually play football to be able to do that. He has gotten 2 games and gotten injured in both of them.
But he's looked good.
He's looked good, but he's left them both unhealthy. So it's just Is he going to be one of those guys that you can consistently keep putting in without the injuries?
Well, as long as he's
Nine, but I
not,
already don't agree with
as
some
long
of them.
as he's not
course you
injured,
won't.
Kiki.
Why would I agree with Kerryon Johnson?
Oh, he'll be better.
I don't agree with that, and I don't agree with Connor Bell will also be on there. Anyway,
Connor Bell?
It says Connor/Bell. Connor Bell. So I don't know about top 15, but I still think Kiki Kuti is a good ad to do this week.
I guess I'll hold off on this.
He put Kerryon Johnson on the list. So
You have Elijah McGuire!
Elijah.
All I need to do is think of 15 guys better than Elijah McGuire.
Isaiah Crowell.
Amari Cooper, I think, is gonna be
Oh my goodness.
not top 15. I think he's gonna be fantasy relevant now. I don't.
Des Bryant wasn't even fantasy relevant.
After all this, he goes off Amari Cooper will be fantasy relevant.
He'll be a top 50 wide receiver.
I'm at least not saying he's gonna be a top 15.
He's a top 50 for Kiki Kuti. Who do you think?
Yeah, in a passing attack that has been coming into its own.
I mean, let's be honest.
He's not even the best on that team, by the way. Since I could jump in, I mean DeAndre Hopkins, obviously.
No doubt, but
You
everyone.
think they're gonna be 2 Texans in the top 15? They're not that great.
Yeah.
This video is out of control.
I think Amari Cooper will do better than QT at the end of the year.
Do we got the bet? Do we have the bet? The throwdown is on.
If they stay healthy,
No, I'm out because if you're saying if they stay healthy,
Amari Cooper breaks his leg in this week. In a bye week.
he's already trying to fish out of it. I think he's going to be more fantasy relevant because Cowboys do have weak wide receiver defenses coming up. They do play the Colts, the Bucks, the Falcons, the Saints, and the Giants still. Because that's,
So I'm gonna jump in there after you. I'm actually, my second thing is actually arguing for Sean coincidentally on this. Really? Yeah. So my
Sean Watson?
second half of the prediction is Deshaun Watson is the QB to have in the second half of the season for your playoffs. There's a reason. It's not because I think he's the best quarterback in the league. Not even close. It's not that I think he's the best quarterback in the league.
Griffin, isn't it? The tight end.
yeah.
It's not that I think he's the best quarterback in the league, but look at his schedule down the line. After Denver this week in a bye week, the last couple weeks, and these are going to go into your playoff weeks, is the Redskins, which is the toughest defense he plays the rest of the way. Then you got Tennessee, Cleveland, Indianapolis, Jets, Eagles, Jaguars to close the season. Jaguars will not be a playoff, so your playoff games are going to be Indianapolis, Jets, and Eagles for Deshaun Watson. You have to get him on your roster. If there's any way you could trade for Deshaun Watson, is that going to help Kiki Kuti be a top 15 guy? I don't think he's top 15. I think Hopkins might have some of the best games of his career coming up. But Deshaun Watson, I think, is the must QB. If you want to win your championship, I think you almost have to have Deshaun Watson on your team.
Well, then I'll put a running back that I think is going to be one that you're going to want on your team as well.
Go for it.
He
I just had to do it because I was arguing for you there.
Since he plays only one team in the top 16 of defenses for running. Marlon Mack.
So what do you want from Marlon Mack, by the way?
I'm not giving Marlon Mack. Marlon Mack has looked great the last 2 weeks, and his matchups are favorable. They're on a bye this week. Next week they got the Jaguars, who are ranked 27. Then the Titans, who are ranked 20th, and that could even fall farther. Miami, who is the worst run defense. And then they got Jacksonville again. Houston's right around the middle of the pack at 17. Then they got that game that I was talking about with Dallas being the 10th best rushing defense. And they end with the Giants, who are the 23rd, and the Titans again, who are the 20th. And I really do believe Titans are going to start struggling since they looked real bad in London. So Marlon Mack, who's just
Out of nowhere.
I think that'd be a great guy, and I think he might be available some leagues too.
And hey,
Because,
Even for this week, the way some running backs are going to bye week is the 33rd ranked rushing defense, so he might have a chance.
Speaking of running backs, my second half, nice lead in, for the fantasy prediction is Le'Veon Bell will not return and will not play this year. Leaving all
keep jumping right into each
fantasy owners depressed and crying because their number one draft pick decided not to.
And I just want to say that if that does happen, I don't want to hear all the people crying. I drafted David Johnson first last year in a money league.
So wait a minute. So is the part of the fantasy owners crying? Is that literally part of the prediction that
Yes.
all fantasy owners
Well, yeah,
that drafted Bell
already
will
crying.
cry?
Trust me, I'll agree with that because I probably cried when I had lost David Johnson last year.
I lost David Johnson last year also after being offered
And
a
you
trade with
probably
Kareem Hunt
cried.
in it before the season began.
Probably.
So I know how you feel on that. With that being said, why don't we just lead into the next one of this? So you have Le'Veon Bell on your roster. That's what happened. You have Le'Veon Bell on your roster at this point.
Time to
He
cut
hasn't-
him.
Wow, he's way jumped. I already know his answer to this. You have Le'Veon Bell on your roster, and you don't have an IR spot, so you're losing a running back spot or any roster spot on your team. He has not reported as of what time do we got here? 2:00 on Monday. Probably a little later.
Oh
than
wait,
that.
are we actually trading time 3?
3:33 on Monday. He has. It said 36. I still said the wrong time. 3:36 on Monday. He still has not reported. He's still your best option at running back. You may be able to get a trade out of him. Do you keep him and hope that he comes back? I already know your answer, so you don't even have to answer this. I'm asking Britton specifically. Do you trade Le'Veon Bell or cut him at this point, or do you just say, screw it, I've had him long enough, I'm keeping him, and if this is a dynasty league, I'm keeping him until next year. If this is not a dynasty league, I'm just hoping
so
for the
you're saying
playoffs.
I have Bell, right?
You're saying, or maybe you
Okay,
see Bell on another team.
If I had Bell, if someone's gonna willing to trade me, even though he's still not showing up, and if he's not showing up by week 11, he's done. He's not coming back, so he's running out of time.
What are we on?
We're week 9.
So we're
And
2 weeks
he's
out.
There's nothing about him reporting this week, which means he's got week 10 and 11. And it's just, I mean, in all honesty, Big Ben, who's been playing with Le'Veon Bell for the last, I don't know how many years now. It's probably going on like 10.
Has it been? Le'Veon Bell's been around that long? I don't think he's been
Maybe
around
not
that
that
long.
long,
like
but
six, seven.
Roethlisberger had come out earlier this year and has said that he hopes that if Bell does come back, that they don't take away the carries that Connor has been getting. Which, if you're getting your quarterback, who basically has been helped so much last couple of years with Le'Veon Bell, saying I still want Connor to, they're not going to keep him next year either. Why basically?
Yeah, I mean,
It would be useless to basically like, you know what, we have a great guy in James Conner, sit.
I think it too, a lot of it is going to say, if you're out of the playoff hunt, like your team's terrible and you have Bell, you might as well keep him for next year.
for a dynasty league at that
Because
point.
he's going to go somewhere.
But it's not, I wouldn't keep him for Dynasty.
You don't think you keep him for dynasty?
No, because, well, one, what team's he going to go to? Because he's
Eagles.
obviously not coming back. If he goes to Philly, then maybe, but even then. But
Well, let's.
that's the thing. Right now, one of the major teams talking about him is Oakland Raiders. I mean, in all honesty, Oakland is going to go heavy for Bell, and do you really think that's going to save that team?
Well, then they'll trade him in a year later for a first round pick.
Probably.
And then, a good running back is hard to find.
Yeah, it is. Well, with that being said, though, the other side of it. So, say you have a team, okay? You put this team together. You have a roster spot open. You have your top 15 receivers and Amari Cooper. You have your top 15.
I did not say he's the top 15.
And Elijah McGuire on your team. So you have that roster spot open. Do you trade for Le'Veon Bell right now for
I
very
just
cheap?
want to say real quick, if someone if someone has our team of QT or QT, Amari Cooper, Marlon Mack, and Elijah McGuire,
Deshaun Watson.
Deshaun Watson. If we have anyone that does that and wins our championship, I will give you $50. I'm calling it now.
I'm going to make the trades now.
Because I don't think they have to stay in every week that they have a game. Obviously, if they're in a bye week, then you can sit them. But
Well, does that count Le'Veon Bell with him saying Le'Veon Bell's not coming back in a second half
no,
prediction?
because he's saying don't.
Oh, okay, I got it.
Plus, you got your core 5.
We're basically giving you guys the loss. Don't listen to us anymore. Just stop listening to us
Sorry,
right now.
now the whole thing of everyone saying top 15, we understand how ridiculous it was.
Yes.
Top 25.
Anyways, continue with your question about Bell.
I move Elijah McGuire to top 25 after all of this. Anyway, top 32. Anyway, so do you think of trading for him? Say if you could get him for, say, I don't know, a third string guy. Let's say Chris Hogan. You get him for Chris Hogan out of
Here's the thing,
nowhere.
like,
Would you do it?
people are still going to value Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, they're
really
not
high.
going to give up cheap.
But my thing is this: we're in week 9. there's still a couple of weeks left. Let's say he does hold out until week 11. So he comes back, he wants to play week 11. He's going to be out of football shape. So you're talking 2-3 weeks till he gets into shape. At that point, the fantasy playoffs are starting.
And who knows if he's even started at that
Do
point.
you put faith in a running back who hasn't even been in football shape all year to come in and win you?
Well,
Your
Brent, you were reporting on him. Is he in good football shape?
I went to the Liberty Bowl.
Oh, shoot.
Plus, I also was, I thought he said to go to Cooper as well, so I went to Vegas.
Oh.
I didn't realize they hadn't moved from Oakland yet.
Oh, my goodness, Brent. This is why we don't
I
have
screwed
a
up
reporter.
twice.
And you didn't even take your camera.
And this is why our fantasy studio is bankrupt.
Well, I did get $500 to a homeless guy who I thought traded us out of rank, so what the hell. Anyway, so
And Brent's giving away free $50 if you have Elijah McGuire.
It's gonna come back and bite me.
I'm going to go do it now. I'm getting this $50.
Post a picture of your team in the comment section below if you have these guys on
You
your
have
team.
all 5 of them.
All 5 of them.
And that includes the week that McGuire doesn't even play.
Oh my god. Anyway, somebody else go. Let's let go.
All
I think
right,
we've gone far enough with Le'Veon Bell. That was a good one.
Alright, well, I'll continue with running backs and trading them or what you do with them. I'm not completely sold on Adrian Peterson. However, I know people will probably go crazy for him. He had a huge game last
30
week. But
points.
the fun thing is I watched his long run, and my gosh, he looked gassed.
He did. But he was still so far away from any defender.
Well, it's a Giants defense.
That Giants defense is terrible.
I mean, but in all honesty, I know he has some favorable matchups coming up, and he also has a somewhat weaker division with run defense. I think Cowboys are the best team with the run defense. I'm not too sure the Eagles are great.
Well, the Eagles actually have a top 5 run defense.
Oh, did they? Then yeah, trade Peterson.
Yeah, like I said, for the Peterson thing, the last time he held up for a full 16-game season was, God, I think it's been 5 years, Vikings or something like that. It's been a long. I think it was the one that was right after he hit a kid with a stick. I think that was the last season.
Switch. Not a switch.
Whatever, my bad. So he hasn't held up too well. We're 8 games in. He's starter. Once again, he looked gas in that game during that one, and he played most of the snaps. You watch that game, Thompson was barely in that game. How much longer can a guy who's 80 years old hold up in this kind of situation? So I think you get the value that you can out of Adrian Peterson at this point. You want to push, and you should be able to get a decent wide receiver and a decent running back out of him
and again,
from the right person.
Obviously, I'm going to probably say that the reason why Thompson was not in much is because they probably limited him.
He came back from
Because he
injury.
was coming back from an injury.
And he actually went to the locker room in the first quarter.
Well, and also it was against a team that really, I wouldn't try and risk a injury.
The Giants are
because
awful.
the Giants are just terrible.
They shouldn't be, but they are.
I mean, I don't know who's worse, Giants or Oakland.
I'd go Giants just
I
because
really-
Oakland's been putting up fights. Giants' set offense just doesn't even look like, except Saquon. I think Saquon's the
Well,
best
that's-
player out of both
Because
teams.
it's all Eli Manning knows how to do, just check down to him.
But he gets 3 in
It's like he can't even
Here we
get
go. Sean Stephen Saquon Barkley sucks.
Saquon, which leads me to buying.
Are you kidding? Are we tying this together this perfectly?
I was so hoping.
Oh my God, that would have been
That would
incredible.
have been great.
It's time to trade Saquon.
I mean, I would give up some stuff
I'm
for
kidding.
Saquon.
I'm kidding.
But Josh won't trade. Yeah, I know you watch. It wasn't even Josh who has it anyway.
Yeah, I know. It's your, it's Steve Young.
Yeah, we know him.
That's right.
Yeah, we know Steve Young, by the way. Let's still put that out there.
That's right. So I'll move forward with mine. I'm actually not talking about any running back. I'm actually going to the wide receiver position. Larry Fitzgerald has had a nice little resurgence the last 2 weeks.
Well, didn't we just say cut him last week?
We did, but we'll ignore that. We'll ignore that. He had a touchdown 2 weeks ago. This last week he had 100 yards and a touchdown.
Thank you, Byron Leftwich.
Yeah. They have a new offensive coordinator. Josh Rosen is looking more comfortable in that offense, not saying much. But he has been targeting Larry Fitzgerald a lot more. So if you can get value out of the ageless wonder that is Fitz, do you try it?
I actually, at this point, if you didn't come last week, as we told you to, Who knew that the offensive coordinator was going to get fired? I kind of actually had a feeling last week. Byron Leftwich has come out and said they need to get Larry Fitzgerald more involved, and I think about 60-70% of the passes seem to go in his direction.
He had 8 catches and 11 targets this week.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's going to continue. I still don't know if he's still the best for the roster just because with that, Josh Rosen is not a good quarterback right now. He wasn't ready to be an NFL starter. He shouldn't be an NFL starter right now. Sam Bradford should have been better this year, and he's not. So
I didn't give Glennon a chance. Sorry.
So they didn't even give him they didn't give Josh Rosen much when he came into this game, and I think that's going to hurt him this year. I don't know if he's that good at passing it. So I'm on edge, but I'd say probably trade him if you can at this point. I still don't think his value's up there quite yet. He had a 30-point week this week in PPR.
But now would be the time. Like if
But
ever
if ever there was a time to trade him, now would be it. It's another of the 90-year-old guy's arguments there that how much can this guy, who we've been calling the ageless wonder, how much longer can he really hold up, especially if they are throwing the ball to him 11, 12, 13 times a game. His older bones and stuff are going to start taking shots.
The guy's like 33. Older bones.
Yeah, but he's been in the league for like 15 years. He's been taking hits for all those years. How much longer can he hold up?
Some of his bones have progressed more in age than his other bones.
The Cardinals have a state-of-the-art hyperbaric chamber. That keeps people young.
But what happened? Well, I guess Sam Bradford didn't get injured this year, so I guess it did something right.
See?
So, anyway, I just don't think he's going to hold up. Trade him for what you can right now.
Like, I don't know, like maybe.
Were you going to argue last week cutting him?
Would you trade him for Kiki Kute?
Or Amari Cooper?
Amari Cooper. I would not trade for Fitzgerald. So am I talking about trading for Fitzgerald? Oh,
No, trading away.
Speaking of guys I would not trade for, I mean I know you said a while back to cut him, and
Week 3.
no one listened.
I mean,
Like at all.
he's been terrible since week 1.
We have been giving you people fantasy gold and you just don't.
I know. Look how right we were. We're right back on the same thing that I said 4 weeks ago, and he hasn't done anything.
And if Elijah McGuire wins you your fantasy league, you're welcome.
You owe me money.
$50.
You better all like $50 so I can give Bryn $50 to give away.
To give to you.
Anyway, go ahead.
Anyways, yes,
With your argument for cutting Randall Cobb.
for some reason, 75% of people still have Randall Cobb on their team. I don't know why, because he's clearly looking like he's the number 3 guy and almost falling to number 4. Because Devontae Adams definitely is the clear number 1.
Oh,
Geronimo Allison, if healthy, is definitely one of Rodgers' go-to guys. And this past week, even with Cobb back, Marquez Valdez-Scantling actually outplayed Cobb. So,
But plus we also have,
Equanimeous.
well, no, the tight end.
Well, yeah, Jimmy Graham.
Jimmy Graham.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to talk about that random guy who caught the touchdown pass this week. They also have Allison.
But in all honesty, Randall Cobb has not been fantasy relevant this whole year yet. He's
Week 1.
Yeah.
Against the Bears, that one big catch.
One catch. That's all it was. I mean,
I know you want to wipe that from your memory,
no,
but
I remembered it because it was not even a great like it was not. It was just a stupid like how do we leave him that wide open?
Yeah.
But again, I don't even know. Has he even gotten any touchdowns since then?
I don't think he's had any. I don't think he has any.
Exactly. In other words, if he hasn't had any, that means that Adams, Valdez-Scantling, Allison, and probably Jimmy Graham, and there was another guy that scored a touchdown this week. Like all of them have scored a touchdown instead of Randall Cobb. 75% of people. Why do you still have him on your team?
To be fair, he was out for a couple of those weeks, but
Yeah, but
but I'm for it.
I mean,
But
75%.
I would like to point out too. The next week I said cut Ty Montgomery, and you see what he did this week. I was telling the Packers to cut him.
Speaking of cutting people,
Oh, nice.
yeah.
That was a terrible
Nice segue.
That was terrible. Was it that the whole?
It is time, unless you are in pure desperation mode for a running back, I believe it's time to cut Buck Allen.
He got a touchdown yesterday.
Yes, but at this point, he's very touchdown dependent because he hasn't gone over 10 fantasy points in the last 5 weeks, and that's with his touchdown, by the way, this week. At best, he's a bye week filler if you desperately need somebody.
Okay, my question is, how many percentage of people own him?
Probably a good bit, actually.
I'll check later.
Yeah, we'll check.
I'll check on that. 12%.
Nikki started him in our league. if you are
I'm gonna
desperate
make her watch this video now.
for Buck Allen and you still have him on your team, it is time to drop.
Since we're talking real quick about people who shouldn't be starting in leagues, that's not even the worst I've seen this week. Because I know someone who started Philip Dorsett.
He could go well.
He was good when there was no other receiving options there.
If the Patriots are up by like 50 points, he's going to be the starting wide receiver in the game.
Well, I think Buck Allen's an obvious one. I'm going with one that's not as obvious that it was just alive. I heard a lot of people talk about trade for this
Have we
guy.
seriously? I thought we've already went through like 7 minutes already.
Well, we technically did because we did this part that sounded very similar to this part. But I am going, this is the final one though, then we go to bold predictions, which are never wrong. But I'm going to go with the guy that I heard a lot of people say trade for last week. He should have probably been, he's the Super Bowl hero.
The goals?
No, God, no. Corey Clement, he 4 carries this week. He barely saw the field. Hell, Josh Adams. Who the heck is Josh Adams? He had the most carries on that team this week with 9, followed by Smallwood at 8, and Corey Clement with 4. He didn't get any receptions. He did get 1 reception. He got 1 reception, didn't get much thrown in his direction. Corey Clement has not done anything since his touchdown. He basically had a touchdown 3 weeks ago, and that's what made him fantasy relevant, and that's what made everyone sign him, and he's done absolutely nothing since. I'm disappointed in it because I came out the season thinking that he was going to be a pretty big compliment to Jay Ajayi, and he was not. So he's had, in the last 2 weeks, his total points is 6.7, and his yards per carry is a literal 1 yard per carry. So, yeah, I think it's about time to cut Corey Clement at this point. I think he was a waste of a spot.
So what you're saying is...
Cut him inside Elijah McGuire.
Oh. Full circle.
Full circle.
Full freaking circle.
The one person,
You can cite Josh Adams, too. I mean...
the one person you can cut for Elijah McGuire.
Well, he's owned by 62% of the league, so 62% of leagues have someone that has
So
him.
in other words, what you're saying is next week we're going to see that flip and Elijah McGuire is going to have 62% owned.
Maybe not 62 right away. It's going to take about a week before people realize he's back. Because what, we have 3 people who watch our video, that's not going to turn 62% around.
What did they tell one friend?
And then they tell a friend.
And then they tell a friend.
And they tell a friend.
Then they tell a friend.
And then we're up to like 11 views.
Yeah, I was going to say, with that, you're saying only one person tells one friend, so that's really not doing much for us.
Well, I mean, you really think the other 2 viewers are going to actually tell their friends? I mean,
No, they're
the one
embarrassed.
viewer is probably Danielle.
Well, actually, to be fair, they're very embarrassed to be watching us, so no one's going to even be talking about this. I'd be embarrassed. I don't even watch us.
I think our parents stopped watching us.
I don't think our parents ever looked at it. My father-in-law did once.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, once. Once.
We are going to get to our
Bold prediction, we get more than 4 viewers on this video.
Oh my God! I can't top that.
No, can't top that one, no. So I'll start with my bold prediction this week. Fitzmagic, and I'm talking about the real Fitzmagic.
Oh, okay.
Minka Fitzpatrick will have 4 interceptions.
Oh my God!
One of which will go for a touchdown against the New York Jets.
That is the most out there ridiculous thing ever.
Well, you know what?
That is bold.
I raised your Fitzmagic and give you the fake Fitzmagic.
Now we're
Ryan Fitzpatrick will throw for 425 yards, 3 touchdowns, and I'll have 3 rushes for 10 yards. One of those will go for a touchdown.
How many interceptions? He's factoring it in. Do you want to bet on that? $5, $10?
0.
You want to bet on that? $10?
What?
I've already won 1 this year.
What, they think there are no picks?
No, your stat line's going to get close. Yeah, no, we'll just go for no picks. We'll just go for the no picks.
Who's that again? Panthers, right?
Yeah.
No.
See that? We don't even believe in our bold prediction.
That's what it's bold for!
It's bold.
I thought technically we're supposed to believe him. I mean, mine's so far out there, it doesn't even have a chance of
It
coming
can't be
true.
worse than Fitzmagic.
It literally, if this comes true, then we would just say the Cardinals are the worst team in
I
NFL
can't
history.
believe that you went Fitzmagic and I went former Fitzmagic. Like, what are the odds?
Right?
Former Fitzmagic, that's his official nickname now.
The artist formerly known as Fitzmagic.
There we go. We started it here first. So my bold prediction is literally impossible, but I don't care. I'm going for it. So the Rams and Saints are going to have a shootout. We already talked about this in a previous video. Definitely watch that, please. And you'll see what we're talking about. So I'm going to say they're going to have more combined yards in this game than the Cardinals will have in total in their next 5 weeks.
I mean, that's not really. The Cardinals are terrible.
Yeah, but that's 5 weeks worth of offense right there.
Yeah, but if
Fine, if the Cardinals will have the rest of the year. What are you talking about? This is not bold.
if the Rams and the Saints have like 500 yards each, that's 1,000 yards.
You don't think the Cardinals will have 500 yards of total offense when teams are averaging up 250 a game, higher than that? Actually, teams this year are averaging 363 yards of total offense a game.
But the Cardinals probably bring that average down. It would be higher if they were.
No, Cardinals are actually at, I think, 273.
Maybe when they played the Bucks. Did they
And the Niners.
Well, the next 5 games are Kansas City, who have one of the worst defenses in the league, Oakland, who have one of the worst defenses in the league, Chargers, whose defense is the Packers, who
They can show up.
and the Lions, who just showed up great against the Seahawks. So there, does that make it bolder that that's our next 5 games? I thought so. Shootout, possible shootout, shootout.
Wait,
when I say team
hold on,
shootout,
hold on.
I'm saying the other
Yeah,
team will
hold
have a
on,
lot of
hold on,
points on them.
hold on.
No,
That's the bold prediction.
That is a,
well, no, what I'm saying is the other team puts up a lot of points on them, and the Cardinals keep throwing the ball. Josh Rosen,
you should
US
say the Cardinals will average 25 points a game in their next 5 games. That's a bold prediction.
Well, to be fair, I was going to say more in the next 5 weeks than the Cardinals and the 49ers combined, but
Cardinals have a shootout with the freaking Chiefs.
watch the Cardinals beat the Chiefs now. You heard it here first. Oh, by the way, I was going to do
That's a
another
bold
one,
prediction.
and I was going to say, oh, yeah, that is. What else is a bold prediction? What, David Johnson's going to run for 700 yards in the next 2 weeks? He's on a bye week this week.
Well, he might run on the treadmill for 700 yards.
Well, either way, I had another idea saying, do you think your team's going to make the playoffs? But it's pretty much a resounding no here. I think the Vikings have a chance with it, but they're not as good as they were last year. I don't know what
If the
happens.
Jaguars trade for...
Let me check my phone to see if they have.
If they trade for Drew Brees, we have a chance.
What about Bears?
If Khalil Mack is able to play every position,
Hey.
and Mitchell Trubisky just, I mean, he's been alright lately.
Yeah,
But I mean, he hasn't been bad.
Wow, that's pretty awful.
Yeah.
So in the time that we were doing this, a team that was on a bye week fired one of their coaches. Cowboys fired their O-line coach.
Well, I mean, their O-line's not that great.
Yeah, but their O-line's been one like the top O-line in the past like 5 years.
He said fired one of their coaches. I thought you meant the head coach got fired.
No, only one will do
I
that.
would have really been stunned if Jason Garrett
So I
got
think
fired.
the Vikings have a chance at the playoffs just because the division's pretty weak. It's going to be the Vikings or the Bears. Although the Packers will make their miracle run at the end. Who are we kidding? We both know it. The Packers will make their... Oh my gosh, Aaron Rodgers, can he bring them back again? Oh, look at that, he brought them to the playoffs
Aaron Rodgers is in a wheelchair!
Still throwing for 40 yards.
but Aaron Rodgers led the Packers. What a miracle! Every freaking year that he plays.
Yeah, come on. Packers are winning the division.
Yeah, no doubt. Anyway, so anything else? I opened the video. Someone else closed it. I'm lazy.
Bye.
Brent. I'm done. That's good. That's good. I meant it for me.